Today I'd like to show you how I remaster a version of Puppy Linux called BookwormPup64 using a virtual machine for all of my testing. What I've done is I've created a virtual machine with a 20 gigabyte total drive space and 8 gigabytes of RAM. You don't need that much RAM, I just personally use it because I have it. I'm booted into a completely fresh version of BookwormPup64 right now, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open gparted through the setup and pup control. Go to drive, gparted, and I'm going to scan the internal disk. Create partition table. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to set it to GPT. And then I'm going to fill the entire thing with an ext4 partition. This is just going to be used as storage space for all the project files we're going to be working on. If you have an additional USB stick that you're working with, instead you can do that. You can also just use the internal hard drive of whatever system you might already have installed on your computer, because this won't affect any kind of boot stuff. So we're going to go ahead and close out of that. I'm going to leave pup control open because we'll need that in a moment. And the first thing I want to do is just make a couple of changes to the theme in the desktop because I'm not a huge fan of either Conky or the background. So I'm going to go to JWM Desk, Global Themes. I personally like the Numix Dark. I'm also going to change the background to just a basic black. I'm also going to go to Conky settings, turn it off, and turn off auto start as well. And that's all the customization I'm going to do for this. Now what I want to do is I want to have access to an original copy of BookwormPup64, as well as I want to install Brave browser because that's what I personally use, and this is going to persist into our remaster. All right. So now I'm just going to launch Brave to make sure that the icon shows up in the start menu. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is go to SDA1, and I'm also going to open my downloads, and I'm just going to move this file that I downloaded into SDA1 so we have a workable ISO. Now what I want to do is mount the ISO by just clicking it and clicking yes. This is going to give the remastering program access to all of the files that we need. So now I'm going to go back to the puppy control panel, and I'm going to go to drive again and scroll down, and I'm going to click on remaster. This is just going to tell us that it needs a fresh or original copy of the currently running system, which we already have. Click OK. I'm going to select SDA1 as my working space. Click OK. And I'm going to click on the BookwormPup64 that we mounted earlier and click OK. When it asks if you want ZDRV to be its own separate file, we're going to click No. I'm going to compress this as gzip because it's the fastest compression. You can choose XZ, but I'm going to show you an optional thing you can do later to have ZSTD compression, which is a really good balance between file size and speed of decompression whenever you're booting from a live USB. But for now, I'm going to click gzip. Now it's asking if we want to clone our configuration, which will be background, theme, whatnot. I'm going to click clone. You don't have to. This is just saying if you want to make any kind of changes, now would be the time. I don't make any changes, so I click OK. Now it's asking if I want to customize anything in etc. Again, if you have any kind of changes that you usually make to your etc files in your system, by all means go for it. You can follow all the information here. I'm going to click no. Here I just click OK again. and OK. So now we have all of the working files for the system, and it's asking us if we'd like to add this to an ISO. In this case, I'm going to click no for a couple of reasons. The first reason being I'm just going to copy the SFS file into the original ISO because it has significantly better driver support across platforms. And I've noticed if I click yes, that quite a few other SFS are missing by default, and I'd rather just take the small amount of time moving the SFS that we just created into the original ISO than moving everything from the original ISO into our new one. So I'm going to click no. So now it says that we have a directory on Mount SDA. We're going to go ahead and open that up. Here you can see we have our puppy live CD build. This is a completely optional step at this point, but what I like to do is recompress this as ZSTD so it has better compression than gzip, but it also is extremely fast compared to XZ. So what we're going to do is right-click on PuppyDPup, and we're going to U-extract into the same exact directory that we're in right now. Now that this is extracted, we can right-click on the original file, and we can either delete it or rename it. I'm going to rename it as a .back file, just in the case I need it. So now what we're going to do is right-click on the directory that was just created, and we're going to pack it, make squashfs, and change the compression algorithm to ZSTD, and turn the compression all the way up. In the archive name, I'm going to delete everything that comes after SFS, and click packet. And if you're wondering what the SFS is, it's essentially just a really compressed version of all of the things that the Puppy file system needs in order to run programs and actually run the desktop environment and everything else. On boot, what Puppy does is it loads a series of different SFS squash file systems into RAM. Some of them have drivers, some of them are specifically the bootloader, some of them are just the kernel, and then this one is the actual operating system that we're going to be using and customizing. Depending on how many different changes you made during this remastering process, this can take a significantly long time, especially if you don't have a very powerful computer. So this might be something that you want to click go on and then walk away for an hour or two. All right. So now that SFS is done, what we're going to do is we're going to implant that into the original ISO. So go to Menu, Multimedia, and open ISO Master. We're going to go back, go to Mount, and our hard drive where we're storing the original ISO. Double-click that. And this bottom panel, we're going to find the PuppyDPup SFS, and we're going to remove it. And now we're going to go into our Puppy Live CD build, and we're going to pick our newly compressed PuppyDPup and click Add. So now it's down here in this bottom panel. All we have to do is click File, Save As. I'm going to save it on my hard drive, and we're going to name this BookwormPup64 Test. The saving's pretty quick. All right, so now I'm just going to close this virtual machine down. I'm going to eject the original ISO and put the test ISO in, and we're going to see if it boots correctly. And there we go. That is our remastered Puppy, booted fresh, same black background, same Numix style. And we're going to confirm that Brave browser is in fact there. One of the reasons why I decided to use BookwormPup64 is because it has apt enabled, unlike a lot of the other Puppy distributions, which means that a lot of the different programs that you can install on Debian are also compatible with this because they share the same Debian base. So by all means, go hog wild, install whatever you need to your operating system and remaster it to your heart's desire and test it out. One of the things that I'm going to be testing is whether or not any of the extensions that I installed on Brave are actually still there. But as you can see, we're running at a crisp, light 319 megabytes of RAM. And even if I launch Brave here to look around a little bit, yeah, we kind of stabilize out at a just shy of 700 megabytes of RAM. So that's pretty good. Enjoy.